Hello everybody, Drifty here from Driftwood Gaming, and in this RPG Maker MV tutorial we're going to shine the spotlight on the Bard class. So this class is an AoE support class. It has the ability to do AoE damage to your enemies, but mainly it does a lot of buffs to the whole party. So before we get started on the class setup, let's go over to our types and add a few new types. So we're going to add a new type of damage, a new element. So this is going to be sonic damage. Then we're going to add a new skill type called song spell. We're going to add a new weapon type called the harp. Let's go over to classes. We're going to create our bard, and we're going to give it the parameter curves of C for max HP. We're going to give it B for max MP, C for attack, C for defense, A for magic attack, C for magic defense, B for agility, and C for luck. Now the level that you award your skills will change depending on how fast your progression is, your experience curve, and when you are able to finally get your bard into your game. So by the time that the bard joins this game, the party will be around level 20. So you could just subtract 20 from all these levels if you want to copy this and start with a bard. So for the traits, I've given the bard preserve TP, as I give all of my classes preserve TP. Equip light armor, magic armor, and general armor. Equip harp and dagger. Awarding skill type, song spells. I've changed the critical rate from 4% to 5%. Let's move over to our skills. So the bard has a good number of skills, and I'll probably add a few more, but a lot of them are Trinities, which are basically optional. So let's start at the top, the healer's paean. So the healer's paean is going to restore HP to the whole party, and we're going to put it on skill type song spell, give it a cost of 20 MP. It's going to be occasion battle screen, and the scope is all allies. It's going to be a magical attack, give it whatever animation you like, and whatever message you like. For damage, we're going to do HP recover, an element of sonic, and in the formula we're going to use a variable. So before we start talking about our variables, let's declare our variables. So at the beginning of your game, whenever you have a class that's relying on variables for certain skills, or in the damage formula especially, they'll do 0 damage or 0 healing if you don't declare them before they're used. So at the very beginning of the game, in your opening sequence, you want to do a control variables, and you set all your variables to your default values. So either set to 0, set to 1, set to 10, set to 100, set whatever number that you want them to start at. But set all your variables at the very beginning. That's going to make a big difference. So starting off, I've set all 10 of the bard skills to level 1. So we're going to create some new variables. Go to a section of 20, change maximum if you have to, and I've gone with from 5 to 14, but you can start at 105 to 114 if you want to copy it like that, or anywhere that you see fit. So first skill we're going to make is the bard skill variable. Go down to the next one, bard mine, bard minuet, bard Trinity, bard madrigal, bard paean, bard requiem, bard march, bard ballad, and the bard etude. Because each of the bard skills are going to be depending on a different variable. And how we're going to be able to check our variables, you could either make an item to do that. You will need a couple of plugins to make this work, or you don't actually need to do this plugin, but there's a plugin. Yanfly has a status menu core with an expansion actor variables, and if you do the actor variables, you can add a note tag to your actor and put column whatever, and then the variables right there. So those numbers that we've referenced, 5 to 14, we'll take our actor note tags, column 1, variables 5 to 14, and we're going to copy paste that into our bard class or our actor class. Did I do it on my actor? Yeah, I did it on the actor, but you could put it on the class as well. So it doesn't matter where you put that, actor or class. That could be, I might be wrong right there. It says actor variables, so it might actually require to put this note tag on actor. Sorry about that. You might have to put it on actors. So I've referenced these variables. Column 1, variables 5 to 9. Column 2, variables 10 to 14. This is going to give the player the ability to check our variables and check our skill levels by going to the status without having to use an item. Let's get back to the skills. So now that we've declared our variables at the beginning of the game, we're going to reference those in the formula. So to reference a variable in the damage formula, you're going to type a V and then open up the braces and put in the number of the variable you want, and then whatever operation you want it to do. So we're going to take variable 10 and multiply that by 10. We're also going to add a 10% variance, but we're going to disallow critical hits. So this is going to require a note tag. So we're going to have to use Yanfly's skill core. I'm going to put a link in the description to every plugin needed to make this whole class work in the description below. So we're going to type custom execution variable x equals $games capital V on variables.value 10 plus x with a semicolon. We're going to go $game capital V on variables.set value 10 and then x and then close the parentheses in the end line. What this is doing is defining a local variable, adding 1 to that variable, and then setting the value of that variable to increment to that one. So every time we use this skill, it's going to get stronger. Now, if you don't want to write all this custom note tags, what I'm going to do is I'm going to include on my Patreon page. You don't have to support me on Patreon to get this. It's just going to be where you download it. I have a text file of this entire class, everything that I'm using, all of the code, so you won't have to type in any of the code if you want to just copy paste it from a text file. So the link will be in the description below to where you can get this text file. But I will go over it really quickly in the video for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about JavaScript and how the class is set up. So moving on down, we have the Phoenix paean. This is basically what you can do is copy this one and paste it underneath it. We're gonna turn off the damage formula. So instead of selecting HP recover, we're gonna select none, because now in this Phoenix paean, we're gonna customize our restore, our gain HP right here in this. So everything will be the same here, except we're gonna increase the MP cost. We're also going to let the player know that this paean will bring fallen heroes back to life. So if your party members have died and you want to restore HP, this will also bring them back to life. All the rest will be the same. So looking at the note tag here, another custom execution. We're declaring our local variable the same as before. Variable x equals $game variables.value of variable 10 times 10, ending the line. And then we're making a loop basically for every time the variable I is set to 0 and I is less than $game party.members. We're going to check the length of that party member list, and we're going to increment it by 1. So this is basically going to make it so that every party member will be affected by this. And then we're going to make a local variable here called variable member, and we're going to set that to every single member. So this variable will be changing as this number changes. But if we have a member, it's going to run this. So for every member of the party, it's going to gain HP equal to the number of x, which we've defined as this variable times 10. So once again, the more you use your skill, the stronger it's going to get. Now these are referencing the same variable. So if you use Healer's paean a bunch of times and then use Phoenix paean, this one's going to be as strong as the Healer's paean as well. So they're both times 10. So they'll both heal the same amount of damage, but this one costs more, but brings your members back to life. So member.gain capital H on HP, but not capital P. I've had a lot of syntax errors right here by typing gain capital H capital P. That's just a point of contention I've had. So we're also referencing the variable of X for our variable to figure out the number of how much we're healing. But if you don't include this next line, it's not going to show the number of how much you've healed. So we're going to type member.start capital D on damage, capital P on pop-up, open and close parentheses with an end line. We're going to end the brace so that we're closing that function, and then we're going to close the entire for loop. We're going to say that x equals x divided by 10, because before we increment it, we multiply this variable by 10. But we don't want to multiply this variable by 10 and increment it between every use. So what we're doing is we're multiplying it by 10 to get how much HP we're healing. Then we're going to divide it by 10. Then we're going to add 1 to that, so that every time you use it, you're getting one more point instead of 10 or 11 more points. Then we're going to set the value of that variable to increment it. We're going to close the custom execution. That's it for that one. Moving on down to the Wizard's Ballad. Same thing basically as the Healer's paean, except we are actually doing an MP recover. And instead of doing a multiple of 10, we're going to be doing a multiple of 2. So we're going to let the party know this is going to restore MP to the party, but we're also referencing a different variable. So if you use Healer's paean a bunch of times, it's not going to affect your Ballad skill, because that's your paean skill. So same things, song spell skill type, all allies, battle screen. Cost for this one will be TP cost, because this is our MP recover skill spell. So we're going to need this when we're low on MP or out of MP, so we don't want it to cost MP. We're going to make it cost TP. That way we can make our bard useful even when he's out of MP. So we're going to make it a magical attack, give it whatever animation message you want. The damage type, we're going to say MP recover. We're going to make it sonic element. We're going to reference variable number 13 in my case. And keep in mind how I've put up my variables. You can, as long as you reference the right variable, it doesn't have to be 13. It could be any number. Just reference them correctly. So variable 13 times 2 with a 10% variance and no critical hit. We're going to do the same custom execution, so you could actually just copy this one from the healer's paean, paste it into the wizard's ballad to save yourself some time. So moving on down to bolster morale. Now this one will be set up a little bit different. We're going to let the party know that we're adding a state. So when you do a /IT and then brackets, that's referencing the state with an icon. So let's look at our states really quickly. So if we go to state 70, we're seeing that state 70 is our bolster morale state. So it's going to add a bolster morale state. This is just referencing the name and the icon. So we could have actually put any of these, since we're using multiples of the same there with different skill levels. So this would be the same as that, and this would be the same as that in this instance. So we're saying that it's adding a state that will restore TP over time, because we're adding a TP regeneration in this state. This spell is also going to get stronger with the higher your bard skill is. Same skill type, all of these will be song spells. This has a MP cost of 20 MP. The scope is going to be all allies on the battle screen. So this is going to be an actual certain hit because it's adding a state, not really dealing damage or anything in a formula here. Excuse me. Give it whatever animation message that you would like it to do. Now we're going to do an action sequence for this, and we're going to be doing conditional statements in the action sequence. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a setup action, display action, perform start, then we're going to close the setup action. Moving down, since we're targeting all allies, we're not going to use a target action, we're going to use a whole action. So we're opening up our whole action. We're starting our conditional statement saying if, and we're creating our parentheses, $game capital V on variables dot value of 5 is greater than 1,000. So if our skill level is over 1,000, we're going to do this. We're going to add state 69. So we're going to do action animation. That's going to do this one. Then we're going to wait for the animation, so it waits for that to finish. Then we're going to add state this number, state number 69 to all actors. So if we look at this one, this is going to add TP regeneration plus 25 for 5 turns. So that's a really strong TP regeneration. But in order to get that, you would have to increment this variable up to 1,000. So essentially, you would have to use it 1,000 times. It starts at 1, so you'd have to use this. Well, actually, it has to be greater than that. So you have to use the skill 1,000 times for it to be at its full potential. But then we're going to do an else-if statement. So otherwise, if the skill isn't over 1,000, but it's over 500, we're going to do this. Same thing, you can copy paste all that, just change this number from 69 to 70. If we look at our states for 70, see this is a similar one, but instead of plus 25%, it's plus 20%. So if it's over 500, then it's going to give 20% TP regen. And then else if, so we're just, nesting these else if statements. Otherwise, if the skill is over 225, we're going to add state 71, copy paste where you need to. Else if it's over 100, we're going to do state 72. Else, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to add state 73, which will be our weakest one of the bunch that does a 5% TP regeneration. So from the beginning of the game, it's just going to do a total of 25 TP to the whole party, 5% times 5 rounds. And that'll do it for the conditional statement. So we're going to type in end. Then we're going to change variables of number 5. Plus equals is going to add this number to it. So we're going to change our variable number 5 to plus 1. This is our skill that we're referencing. You see how we have a 5 in this parentheses? So that's the skill that's checking it. So every time we use this skill, it's going to add 1 to it. So that's what's going to keep count as a variable. Then we're going to perform finish to make finish our action sequence and bring our character back to where he's standing. And then we're going to close off the whole action. That's it for that skill. So let's move on down to, this is a very simple skill. Insight Intent. It's basically just going to spend 50 TP to give 20 TP to the whole party. So this is a simple skill. Keep everything the same. Song spell, all allies. Occasion will be always. This is going to be a certain hit, whatever animation or message you would like. Then we're going to go to the effects and go to gain TP and set 20 right here. Moving on down to full requiem. This is going to issue damage to the whole, to all of your enemies. So this is the only scope, this is the only spell that has a scope of all enemies. The rest would have all allies. So the scope would be all enemies, occasion battle screen. We're going to make it a magical attack so that your opponents will have a chance to resist and take less damage. If you're using armor, what is it? The damage core with armor scaling from Yanfly, awesome plugins. You might want to get those too. Otherwise, you'd want to subtract more from the damage formula. So looking at the damage formula, we've got HP damage. Our element is going to be the new element we created of Sonic. We're going to go A.ATK times 2 plus A.MAT times 2 plus our variable numbers. So the higher our requiem, we're also just using the same increment. You could do this with a common event, but it's much easier to not have to take up common events. So that's why I've gone with this JavaScript way of doing it. The same as the healer's paean, so you can copy paste that note tag into the full requiem. Except you're going to change the number so that it's referencing variable 11 this time, since we're referencing that in the damage formula. We're also going to subtract our defender's luck. Just a little bit of subtraction, because it is an AoE attack and it's going to hit everybody, and our bard isn't supposed to do a lot of damage, so even with armor scaling, it's going to take their defense and magic defense into account, but we're also going to subtract just a little bit of damage for the opponent's luck. This is going to have a 50% variance, since it depends on where they're standing in sonic damage, just for the flavor of it. And then we're going to allow critical hits, though. So maybe you like do a requiem right in their ear and they take more damage for theming it. Okay, so we're going to move down to the next skill. This is the Striker's Minuet, and this is going to enhance the attack power of your, I say STR for strength, but this just for my game. For you, it'd be ATK. Or whatever your ATK equivalent would be. It's going to change your ATK of your party by adding a buff. So this is also going to be dependent on your Minuet skill. This is going to be a song spell like they all are. We're going to make all of our buff skills cost 10 MP and 10 TP. You can change this, of course. Everything is just open for your modification to fit your game. So this would be scope all allies, occasion battle screen. Hit type is going to be a certain hit, whatever animation message you would like. Now we're going to do a custom execution. Once again, I'm going to have a text file for all of this, so you won't actually have to type all this if you don't want to. I'll put a link in the description. But we're going to do custom execution. We're going to declare a local variable here. Variable x equals $game capital V on variables.value. We're referencing variable number 7 here. Then we're dividing it by 5 and closing that line. Then we're making our for loop to check for all party members. And then for every party member, we're going to say if we have a party member, then we're going to add a buff to that party member. So we're going to add buff number 2 to that party member. And buff number, the buffs will work like this. 0 is going to be your max HP, 1 is going to be your max MP, 2 is going to be your ATK, 3 is going to be your defense, 4 is going to be your magic attack, 5 is going to be your magic defense, 6 is going to be your agility, and 7 is going to be your luck. And I'll put a link for that so you can reference that as well. And we're adding that buff to that party member. We're closing our function basically, and then we're creating an end there. But now we're also going to have to, since we divided this number by 5 before we decided how many turns the buff is going to last, we have to multiply it by 5 before we add 1 to it. Then we're going to set the value of variable number 7 to that value of x, which we've divided by 5, multiplied by 5 after the buffs were calculated, and added 1 to it. So every time you use it, the variable is going to go up by 1. So initially, when you use this skill for the first 5 times, it's going to wear off on the first turn, so you're not even going to get a buff from it. It'll show up and disappear. But after the 6th time, it's going to last for an extra round. And every 5 times you use this skill, it's going to add 1 more round. So eventually, by the end, you're going to have it lasting for a long time, many rounds. So we're going to close it off with custom execution, and that's it for Striker's Minuet. The good thing about this script right here is the following skills are going to use the same script. You're just going to change a couple of numbers. So we're going to go down to the next skill, Defender's Mind. We're going to enhance the defense of the party. Everything's the same. We're going to copy paste that whole script in here. We're going to change just the variable that we're referencing. So now we're referencing the variable for the Bard Mind. which would be in my case 6. We're also going to change the add buff number from 2 to 3. And then we're also going to change the set value from whatever it was from the minuet to the mine, which would be 6. And that's it for that skill. Moving down to the Sorcerer's Madrigal, copy paste the entire thing, change this variable number, so now it's referencing the Madrigal skill. Change the buff so it's giving you magic attack power, and change the set value so that it's changing the right skill when you use it for the Madrigal. That's it for that. Copy paste that down here. Do the same thing. We're just going to change the variable, so now we're referencing the mine again, the same as the Defender's Mine. So basically copy Defender's Mine for the Runic Mine. Just all we're changing now is this one number. So it's changing the buff from adding defense to magic defense. That's it for that skill. Moving on down to the Victory March, copy paste the same thing. You're going to change the variable so that it's referencing the March skill. We're going to change the buff so it's adding an agility buff. We're going to change the variable number right here so that it's incrementing the March skill. And that's it for that one. Moving down, Jester's Etude. We're going to copy paste the whole thing again, except now we're referencing the Etude skill. Change the variable for Etude right here. Change the buff so that it adds luck, and then change the variable so that it increments the Etude skill. And that's it for all of the buffs there. Now we're going to go on to the Trinities. Now the Trinities are calling on states, and for this to work, you're going to need one plugin. This is going to be Moogle X's plugin, the Element Booster plugin, which will let you do Element Boost. So we can copy paste that Element Boost. So before we do the Trinity skills, let's do our states. So we'll go back to this one right here. Let's go over to our states. So our states, we're gonna for the Bolster morale ones, we're gonna make all of these states. I probably should have done this before I did the Bolster morale skill, but whatever numbers you put in here for add state number, you're gonna make these for your highest. This is gonna be your highest TP bolster state, and then it's going to go down to the next level, to the next level, to the next level on your states. So this would be your first one if you have over 1,000 Bard skill, if you have over 500, over 225. And all we're doing for this is we're going into the traits. We're going to go to extra parameter, and we're going to go HP or TP regeneration, and we're starting the highest one, 25, then 20, 15, 10, and 5%. Now the Trinities, we're going to add that note tag that we just copied from the help file, and we're gonna select the number right here, Element Boost 2. That's gonna reference your element. So if we go over to our types, we see that our element types have a number before we give them a description here. So 2 is our fire skill. So on our fire Trinity state, we're gonna put 2 for fire, and now we're gonna add 150%. What this is gonna do is increase all fire damage done while you're under the effects of the fire Trinity by 50%. Now we're going to copy paste this. All we're changing is the name, the icon, the number of the element. Copy paste it again, change the name, change the icon, change the number of the element. Do the same thing for water, do the same thing for earth, wind, light, dark, fusion, and astral. You probably won't have fusion or astral, you'll have your own states. So feel free to add your own Trinities or even exclude them if you don't want to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the database part. There's no common events, which I'm really happy with that we were able to avoid using any common events to do all of these skills. We handled it all with action sequences and JavaScript code. So I've been learning a little bit more JavaScript, and it's coming in handy. Thank you so much, Yanfly, for your help and your encouragement. Let's take a look at the Bard skill in action. Alright, so right here, by talking to the dog, I'm declaring all those variables and setting them to 1 as if we were just at the beginning of the game. So now we're going to get into combat. Now right now, our Bard is set to level 44, which will be the highest level for, not the highest level, but at that level, they'll have the Bard will have all his skills. So let's take a look at Bolster Morale. When we use it, we're going to add a state depending on the skill level. So right now, we only have a 5% TP rate because we're only at level 1 or 2 now since we used it once. Let's look at the healer's paean. So like I said, all of these skills for the Bard are going to be really weak at the beginning, but they scale really high. So towards the end of the game, the Bard might be one of, if not the strongest member in your party, depending on your other classes, of course. If we do our full requiem, we can see that we'll do damage to everybody. We can do all of our buff enhancement states, and we add the buff for 1 round because we're just learning it for the first time, but then it's going to wear off. You would have to use it 5 times for it to last 2 rounds, and then by the 10th time you use it, it's going to last 3 rounds. Every 5 times you use it, it's going to get an additional round that it will last, and that'll work all for the same. So it'll be a good idea to like not just level up your character, but to use your skills to work on. You know you're going to need more agility, so you're going to be using this buff a lot to level it up. And I think it's an interesting change from just getting a skill and it's so linear and it works one way. So let's look at a Fire Trinity. But before I use the Fire Trinity, let's do another Bolster Morale. I want to show you the damage on this skill first. So we're going to do Kasai, and that's a fire attack. So we did about 975 damage. But now what we're going to do is we're going to do a Fire Trinity. So now this is going to actually add fire potency so that the fire, your fire attack is going to do 50% more damage. So we should be doing around 1,500, 1,400 damage since we did about 900 last time. And we got a critical, so it tripled that. So we got 5,300 divided by 3. I don't know, about 16, 17 or something. So you can see that the enhanced damage, the Fire Trinity made his fire attack more powerful. I would like to show you the Phoenix paean and how that works. But I should probably let Driftwood die to do that. But this video is probably going on for too long. But when you use the Phoenix paean, it will bring back your party members. So you see how it showed you the number beforehand. It will bring back. It'll show the HP change, and then after the animation, the party member will get up and they'll be revived. So that's one cool little feature. You could also do that by removing state, but I did it all in JavaScript. I thought it was pretty cool. So now we'll finish this battle. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit long, but I think it's kind of a good idea to have interesting classes so that you're not just one skill that gives, adds something really simple. I like adding different ways of using your classes and stuff. But anyway, I'm just rambling now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for being awesome. Remember to like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you like this sort of content. And if you want more class spotlights, just leave a comment below. Let me know what class you'd like to see me make. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you in the next tutorial.